focused. I'm so focused. I do my own stunts and this don't need promotion. Baby girl love the motion, so she wanna ride the wave. I'm a shark in the ocean, ain't no way she getting saved. This that new shit, don't give a fuck about your 2 cents.
Yo. What's going on? What's happening, people? We're live and direct. Marley's State of Mind, the first show. Very excited tonight. I have a very special guest, one of my close friends, Ill MC, one of the best that done it, period. Certainly out of the bird. Someone named that you'll recognize. He shared the stage with the likes of Wiz Khalifa, Raekwon, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Mac Miller, just to name a few. Very illustrious guest. My man Franchise. Make some noise for Franchise. What's going on, Fran?
Man, I'm cooling, brother. Once again, I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely.
Being a debut podcast.
Yes, sir.
Slid down here, man.
Yes, sir.
Happy
yes,
to
sir.
be here, bro.
Yes, sir. We're shooting out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Fran was nice enough to join us down here.
Mm-hmm.
This is our first of many, is what we're hoping. I was lucky enough to land him as my first guest. The first time I heard Fran, or the first time I ever seen you, bro, I was going down ID Labs to record.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how they have the CDs up?
Yeah.
The OG ID Labs.
Oh, yeah.
First Butler sheet. So you know how they had the CDs up, the CD covers?
Yeah, and at that OG one, it was only the CD covers.
It was only the CD covers, right?
Yep.
And it was such a vibe there when you see that, and you're like, "Damn, I want to be one of them covers."
Yeah.
And you were one of those covers.
Yeah, bro.
Indeed. And not only were you one of those covers, it was your project, Perfect Storm, if I'm not mistaken. That was your second project.
That was my first official one.
Right. The first project was Main Event.
Yep.
But
that was the first.
That was the first real official release for you.
Yeah, that was like out there where like it wasn't just my area, my hood gravitating to it. It was like some extra Berg love with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What do you think made that one so special? Why do you think it was so much love for that particular project?
I mean, off top, I was just hungry at the moment, so
right.
You know, that was a big factor in it. But I was meeting people at the same time, like,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
so right place, right time.
Yeah, and the energy's energy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you said, it fell in the place at the right time. Just meeting people like ID Labs, of course, the people who were working closely with them, and things kind of trickled off of that. And even just me being a people person, meeting other people too that fell in. Like, of course, like the Willie Whips,
right? Yeah, for sure.
Mayos, B Whites,
yes, sir.
Guys like them.
Yeah. Absolutely, and some of them guys are from the area, your area as well. You're part of the Berg, so I'm sure that helped y'all. Had a lot of common ground to stand on that Mon Valley shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So absolutely. I know that probably connected right away. But that project, what was like what was it about that project that made you feel like this was the one that's being special? Like, was it the production? Like, was it just like you said, your hunger just bleeding through so much that people ain't had no choice but to fill it? But let me even backstep before that. That Main Event, you said that was more local. You said this was the first project that kind of everyone gravitated, but the Main Event was just for
like the Main Event was on some shit I did when we was like in high school. You know what I mean? Like, and I dropped out. It was like at the verge of basically when I was doing that, like dropping out of school. You know what I'm saying? And it was like really just promoted to like the Woodland Hills area, going to the mall, passing out, selling a couple, like just in that general area.
So did you already have, and you got to remember, like at this time, it wasn't like it is now with the digital downloads. Like you actually had to get physical copies, and it wasn't easy to come by physical copies in mass production.
Oh hell no, bro! The first Main Event was we burned them joints up ourselves.
Right.
Like they wasn't done.
What did it look like? Was you writing on them?
Yeah,
joints?
facts, bro. Yeah. But it was accepted as long as like, you know what I'm saying? Like you delivered a certain way.
As long as it sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you say that one. So that one, you was just like, that was your first grinding. Like, so how did you even? I guess we should do that. How did you? What made you even decide to start rapping? Like, what was your inspiration to get to that point? Like, I want to start recording.
I mean, it came like at a pivotal time in my life, I guess. Like basically middle of my teenage years, like I was, cutting up in school where School kind of was falling to the back. Football had fell off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it
You're
was
still trying to find your identity, basically.
It's the next thing. Like the next
Right.
thing I'm gonna try my hand at. You know what I mean? And I had guys around me like Chemical, Vinnie Radio,
For sure.
just to name a couple of them.
Yeah.
But like who was already going, and I
Oh,
was
they
just
was already
kind of
doing the
feeding off,
music.
just feeding off their energy. I was having little verses and little fly shit to say on their tracks, just being around them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But not really going full throttle or taking it really serious
Right.
until like 2 years later. You know what I mean? And that's when I was like crafting main event and all that.
Okay. Okay. So that's when you think you really perfected your art was with the main event, and then
I can't say
the perfect storm was like
that was like I said, like where I wasn't living around the way no more. I was living out Monroeville doing some other shit. Not doing some other shit, but I was into some other things.
right,
Where I was meeting different people, working at different places, being around.
getting more life experience.
Yeah, so
Right.
like I'm
You had
not
a
just
story. You
connecting
had a
with,
story to tell.
yeah, I'm not just connecting with the guys from around the way now.
The
Now I
local
got
stuff.
a broader reach with who I'm able to tap into or meet. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm
Right.
not around the way no more.
For sure.
So with that, I started meeting guys like I go to ID Labs or Robbie. This was recorded here, or Giuliano did this. So I started wanting to,
And that's a good point because when you're starting in music, you really have no idea how any of that works.
no,
Right. You have no idea how do I record, who records, especially at this time because we're not talking the internet age where everybody is
it's
recording
recorded.
and everybody has a mic and everything like that. It's only a few people who really know how to engineer, and there's only a few people who know how to make beats, and you have to know these individuals in order to make music, right? This was that time. So
Yeah, absolutely.
so how did you? So who was it? Who was it? And of course you mentioned Vinny Vintage Radio as well as Chemical,
Mhm.
and those you're one half of the come up. So
Yep.
we should most certainly let that be known,
Yep,
which
yep,
is you and Vintage Radio, Vinny
yep.
Radio. Um, but who was it around you that showed you like, yeah, this is how this works. Like this
Like
is where you go to record. This is you need to get this mix now. You need to get this master now.
basically, like I said, Kimmy and Vinny.
Okay.
Like they had some guys when they first was messing around playing with the music who went to school with us who had some ties with somebody who had a studio in the area.
Okay.
Like so they was getting off there for a little bit. And then something happened with that situation where they liked doing it in a real studio, so they ended up moving to your mom's house when Ime was still like
Mhm.
engineering at the time. And
Can
that
you
was when I
explain
was
to
kind
us
of
about your mama house and Ime? Because you
yeah.
shot him out in Rockefeller Chain.
Yeah, because that was when I basically start really like I guess taking it serious. That's like I said, like right around the main event time. I did a couple of the tracks for main event at them your mom's house sessions.
Right.
And like I said, it was just like here and there, you know what I mean? But like Ime was the first engineer I ever recorded with from
Okay.
them sessions, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yep.
And like, we was young little funny dudes coming in the studio. So we used to rip and be late or you know what I mean, take our time with shit where, he was such a professional at that time, Ime, I'm speaking on,
Right.
where he wanted us to be sharp. He'd throw his little jabs and little funny shit back and forth, but he wanted us to be sharp, so I always respected him.
Yeah. So he kind of showed you the importance of professionalism,
Yeah, and his work, his resume shows. You know what I'm saying?
and now and I guess you would say he also was part of that person of teaching you how to do it the correct way.
Yeah, and I only literally, to be honest, I only probably had 2 sessions with him, and then it switched to Corey. It was like his intern or his
His
understudy at
assistant.
the time. You know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean? Which Corey did some good sessions too, but Ime was like my first official engineer, so that was big for me.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. So you learned about a take and and dubs and ad libs and all that stuff, and then really started to learn how to do music.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
Right. Right. So bam, main event drop, perfect storm. Now you're starting to create some buzz. Now you're starting to connect. Now you're starting to know people.
Yep.
What are you thinking about? What tell us what's like in your mind at that time? Like, what are you thinking as far as like, damn, what am I going to do next? Are you feeling like this is starting to build traction? This is starting to become something like
I wasn't. I don't know. I was just in go mode, so I wasn't really thinking on like,
You ain't even reflect on any of that.
yeah, like
This was just life.
yeah, whatever I was getting out of it, I was getting out of it. I was determined at that point to do it, just because I did gain a little more love each time I was doing shit. So I was just like, I always knew a lot of people too. I got a big family and a lot of reach with different people,
Right.
and even outside of the Mall Valley, my area. But like, so I knew always if I stay
So you
focused
were
on
your
that.
own street team, basically.
Yeah, kind of in a way, I guess you could say.
Right.
But like I'm the type of person, if I lock in on something, if I take it serious,
That's what it is.
and people get behind that when they see you doing some real shit, and
100%.
being devoted and dedicated to something. No matter who they are to you.
100%. And that's the thing, right? Like you have longevity in this as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
you've seen ups and downs in this. You've been when at the very beginning, because when the Perfect Storm came out, no one was signed from the city or anything like that.
No.
And I mean, and that's something I want to touch on as well for you is you're from Braddock, and
Uh-huh.
you let that be known at every turn, and you do a good job of holding the flag for Braddock.
Appreciate that.
Who were the first artists that you heard from the Braddock area, or that you
Uh,
remember hearing from the Braddock area?
the first artist that I remember hearing from
Because
the
you're the
Braddock
first
area.
for me.
Well, the first I'll probably have to say in no order, but Black Caesar.
Okay, I didn't know Black Caesar. Okay,
Uh huh. He
Black
was
Caesar's a dope producer. He produced for Jay-Z. For those who don't know, um, amazing
yeah.
talent for sure.
Him. There was another group, Ghetto Bread.
Okay,
Um, and there was another group, Royalty. That was a group that Vinny's older brother was in.
okay.
So we was already like hip to what they was doing
You was
and
always
shit.
locked in from seeing them do it.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
right, and that's dope. And like I said, I know you try to carry the flag for Braddock, and it still spills over into what you're doing now. With the collab projects,
Hmm.
what I mean, and the things like that you're dropping. And every show, you always make sure to have Mon Valley representation
Hmm.
for any shows that you're doing. And now you're kind of that guy to these guys coming up now, and I see it, and they show you love, and you show them plenty of love back, and that's plenty dope. Now after the Perfect Storm, what was your next project to drop? 'Cause I know your
Um,
catalog's big, so I'm not going to do you like that and get into everything. I know, but
now
you
I
got
remember,
at least 11 projects.
yeah, Solo,
Not counting, yeah,
not kind of
collabs,
like come up,
yeah,
or yeah,
58s, none of
50,
that stuff.
none of that, yeah, like 11, I think.
Okay, so what was your next project after
Schizophrenic mindset.
Schizophrenic Monster? That's right.
Yep.
When did Henny and Hayes? Because that was a double disc, and that's crazy, right? Because who's doing double disc? Period.
Yeah, I
Um,
always thought that was a reach too. I ain't even gonna hold you, bro. I'm like, all the way tall. I thought that was a reach, and I
right.
don't know. People still, gravitate to it, and I appreciate what it did, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was a bold move. I do feel like
Why you say that? What made you think it was bold?
I don't know because it was a double disc, and what I
Right.
mean. It wasn't like I had the most clout or even the most reach at the time, but we were just pumping out a lot of music.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm a hoarder in a lot of ways, like in my personal life. But with that music, I'm not the type of person who's too hard on myself.
Yeah.
Like I realize, like at some point, this shit is legacy, part of the legacy. You gotta let certain shit go. Everything can't fly, but like,
Right.
I don't know. At that time, I was just in the zone where like I wasn't saving nothing. Everything gotta get heard.
So that was a part of that. You were just kind of just putting it all out there, and you're like, might
Throwing
as well.
darts.
Yeah. Yeah. So Henny and Hayes. The reason I bring that up is because that was pretty successful as well. To
Hmm.
have a double disc, to be an artist from the area. And I hate to say local artist because there's no such thing. You're underground. You could be an underground artist, but there's no minor league
Yeah,
in hip hop.
yeah.
I
We
mean,
all working.
you're competing with Jay Z every time you drop. I
Hmm.
mean, you're competing with
Hell yeah.
Drake. You're competing with Dirk every time you drop.
Hell
No
yeah.
matter who you are, there's no minor leagues. You're either on
Hmm.
the radio doing it big, or
I agree.
what I mean. So I won't even do the local thing, but that was a big turning point as well, right? Henny and
Yeah.
Hayes.
Absolutely.
And what was different about that project? Because you're more polished now. You got a couple projects under your belt. You
Uh-huh.
made these connections that we're talking about. You're around these people. You're at ID Labs, of course, who has a killer team of professionals around
Hmm.
that are doing things the right way. You're seeing people coming in that's doing things the right way. What made Henny and Hayes what it was, um,
Mm.
to your legacy?
I mean, like I said, it was just one of those pivotal times. Like there was a lot of good energy around me from the guys I was, what I call lyrically sparring with, and that's not taking shots at nobody, but it's like, steel sharpen steel, iron sharpen
100%.
iron.
Yeah.
So these guys I was around was just, applying pressure. So I just was feeding off of that energy. One, two, the aftermath of that project, what I don't know if people understand or even know, is that project birthed the 58s.
Right, because you coined the phrase
Fifths
fifths
of
and
Henny,
ace.
Fifths of
And
Henny,
yeah,
Ace of Hayes.
Ace of Hayes, right, right.
And like I said, some shit that like kind of tied in. Vinny was
I was definitely going to touch on that,
yeah.
and that's dope. But continue. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I said some shit like that on the track, like just fucking around on some intro outro shit. Vinny was like, "What's that 58 shit you said?" I'm like, "I don't know, just on the fly, bro." He's like, "No, that shit's hard.
Right.
We should make that our little click." Like, cause at the time, this is when we was really doing a lot of shit with Mayo and B. We had Ghosty and Vils because people don't know either. Before we did was in the 58s and even did that, like schizophrenic mindset time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, we was under this little umbrella. Shout out to Willie Whips, my guy, my brother. We was under his little imprint he had. Not a little imprint, it was major, but imprint that he had created, Eastern Empire.
Eastern Empire. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you know what I'm saying.
What
That's
it,
where.
who did, so all right. So that's a lot, and that's a lot of good stuff too. That's important.
Mhm.
So let's touch on East End Empire, which is super dope. You remember the Jordan Beckham freestyles that those guys had back in the day?
Oh, the Antucks.
The Antucks, yes, absolutely. The
Yep.
Antucks freestyles, which were super dope,
Legendary.
legendary, and that was one of the things that you seen that you were like, yo, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Because of people like you were on there. You guys had one of the earlier ones on there, and that featured. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the East End Empire, right?
It was all. It was not all, but it was.
All East
It was
End
full.
Empire
Yeah,
artists
yeah,
on
yeah,
in the
yeah,
freestyle.
yeah. Yep.
And who were those artists? If
It
you will?
was me, Vinny, Radio, Beatty, and Ghosty.
Right.
But under that whole imprint, it was all those guys I just named, myself, Primavera Vils as well, Palermo Stone, and then Chemical was also in there for a little short time too.
Right. Right. East End Empire, which is dope. And then, like you said, then that kind
And Mac Miller.
of course,
My fault.
of course,
God bless the dead. Rest in peace to my brother.
100%. All of those guys was under there, and even within that group, there were groups as well. And that's and which the 58s was the same way, right? It was a collaboration of
It
different.
was
groups.
designed like that, the same, basically off of that. Like I seen how
The
that
same
worked and
formula.
just took that formula. Yeah, like
Right.
it was an umbrella of like basically three groups. Because if you look at it, B and Mayo wasn't officially a group, but they came together.
Right. Right.
Me and Vinny had been planned on working on come up shit, but it just kept getting pushed back because of solo shit. Then we Eastern Empire shit, but we was to basically come up. Ghosty and Vils was the scholars. That was they
100%,
group at
right,
the same
yeah.
time. So that was an umbrella of three different groups. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like three different duos.
Right. And then Ill Spoken as well.
Yep.
With BD and Mac.
Oh, well, that was part of when in the East End.
Yeah. That's what I
I'm
was
in
talking
the
about.
58s. My fault.
The East End Empire.
Okay, yeah,
But you were talking about the 58s being a combination of three groups as well.
yeah.
But yeah, so and that's crazy. So Henny and Hayes kind of birthed the 58s
Yeah,
off of the phrase that you coined.
yeah,
Um,
and yeah, from there, like once it was like official with the logo and just the branding of it, yeah, like rest in peace to my brother Mayo.
yeah, yeah.
He took that thing to the top.
Was he like the powerhouse? Because I've certainly come across Mayo, but I never got a chance to really know Mayo like that, unfortunately. And I know he was super charismatic dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, he had a lot of personality, a big personality. And if Mayo steps in a room, Mayo's in a room.
Yeah.
You could feel him. He has one of those type of personalities. He doesn't even have to say anything, but you're like, oh, you wondering who that dude is, and you're saying he was like a big part of pushing the brand forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying. In a lot of time, in a lot of ways, it was like for real. You know what I'm saying. I was basically the initial brains of it, and from there, he was the brains and the bread. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like the bread and the butter to that situation.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? He was Mayo was him. He was a character, like you
Right.
said, but like he had the best interest in that brand. You know what I mean? At heart, and then in his mind too. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he
100%.
took that thing to the north.
And you started seeing 58 hoodies pop up everywhere.
Yeah,
And this is like for me,
on fire.
and I say this, and I might be a little bit biased because I'm from this era, but for me, this is the golden age of Pittsburgh hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
this time period that we're talking about, because this is right around or before the time Wiz was signed. Same as for Mac. So no one was really there, but everyone was right.
Working, moving,
People
yeah.
were bubbling, and you started seeing, yeah, Time Bomb Shock was, and it was all of these. There's all of these meccas of Pittsburgh hip hop, all these corners like the Shadow Lounge. Like there's
Yeah,
these things that are happening. That's
legendary.
it's a real magical moment in Pittsburgh hip hop, and we all feel it. Then when Wiz gets signed, and it's like it's real, like it
Mm-hmm.
can happen for us.
Yep.
And seeing what you guys were doing, and how powerful it was. Like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because it was crazy. Like I remember when Realness dropped,
Mm-hmm.
and just how it was
Classic.
received, and I mean how it looked, like the aesthetics of it, like being in the mall. You guys shot the video in the Mon Valley. Shout out to B White, who
Mm-hmm.
killed the verse. Like I played that song for one of my homies. He was like, if people were getting tested for rap, that was an A plus. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it was perfect execution, and all of the things that happened at that time were just real magical.
yeah.
And that's from an outsider looking in perspective. I can't even
No,
imagine
I
what
agree.
it was like,
100%.
for you. But I started seeing these 58 hoodies pop up everywhere, and I knew what it was. I've been familiar, what I mean, with all of you guys, I mean, individually, and come across all of these things individually.
Yeah,
But to see just like other people, like, damn, like this is real.
yeah.
What was that time like for you? Like,
It was dope, bro. Like I said, that shit caught fire real quick. Shout out to B White. He was actually just in the studio with us, and we were talking about that. Like, I can't remember exactly, but I think we had released or like dropped leaked a joint like one night, and then we released or leaked another one the next night. By like 72 hours, like shit was going crazy. They like, and I hated this shit, but I mean, it was a dope compliment. It's like, yo, that's like the Pittsburgh Wu
saying,
Tang.
yeah,
Like they
yeah,
were
yeah,
saying
yeah,
shit
yeah.
like that. Like Vinny's sister was going to college in Cleveland or West Virginia somewhere, and like she wore the hoodie, and like people was bugging out. Like you know what I'm saying? It was crazy.
Right.
Like
And it started, the brand started becoming one where it was recognized, it started
yeah,
getting the brand recognition.
yeah,
What I mean, and it kind of helped spur you guys' solos careers, I'm sure, as well.
absolutely. Yo, the illest shit. Before I forget,
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. I was riding. We was going somewhere. It's fucked up too. We was going somewhere, um, and I was with Mayo and Vinnie, and we was on Greensburg Pike, and I'm like, we riding somewhere. You like a little hit, little buzz. You kind of just cruising, grooving, and I'm like, yo, 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 turn that down, Mayo. Turn that down, Mayo. We at the light. Somebody's booming the 58s tape, and it was like the
Ah,
week it dropped. So we was out getting celebrating,
yeah,
partying. You know what I mean? But to hear that shit like right around the way, I was like, yo, that shit's crazy.
crazy.
Because I'm hearing it boom, and I'm like, wait, Mayo, turn that down. And it was playing they was playing out of my mind, the second number two on that album. I was like, yeah, that shit's crazy.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it was a crazy time, bro.
It was a beautiful time, and like I said, that was like the golden age, and that's when you seen a lot of these things starting to happen, and it started to feel real,
Mm-hmm.
for all of us, thanks to people like yourself and the 58s who were representing for us, what I mean, and putting on for the city and making our names known, what I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what that ride was like. And for you, what was like the follow up to that? So boom, we did the solo joints. We coming off the big Henny and Hayes
Yep.
follow up.
That was like I said, the 58s. The 58s followed up off of the Henny and Hayes album.
Right.
And simultaneously,
Were y'all all in the studio together? So were y'all all in the studio together when you was recording Henny and Hayes? Like was all of the 50? I know Vinny was there. You said that because he asked you to run the line back.
yeah, not when I did that joint.
Right.
Not when I did that, but like at those times we was all going to the studio together. There might be some nights where like certain boys didn't show up, but we
Right.
was
Right.
in there a lot of times. That's what I'm saying. Like that same year, we was working on so much music. Like I said, we dropped the first In Good Hands, the come up project with Germ,
Right.
2 months after the 58s project.
That's dope.
You know what I mean? So that's why I say I didn't even have time to think about shit at that time because we're moving so much. You know what I'm saying? Doing so much shit. Like it was like the 58s tape dropped April, like April 21st of 2011, and then Angel Hands the Come Up shit dropped June 15th.
So right after,
two
couple
months,
months after, yeah,
2 months,
yeah.
So it was like I didn't even really have time to think about that, you know. So like, yeah, to answer your question, that
So y'all were constantly in the studio together, but it might not all have been the same time. So how did the group concept come about, like itself? Did you were you guys already in talks about that? Like, yo, we need to
the
just
Come Up shit.
no the 58 shit. Like, how did the group? Because you and Vinny, I mean, like, so you and Vinny been to each other. That's who you first started doing music with.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the come up was just waiting to happen.
yeah. We had a Come Up project that we didn't never put out,
Right.
like that we shelved, I guess you'll say. But
Yeah.
yeah, we got one in the stash that was supposed to come out in 2008, but we just didn't drop it. It was the follow up, basically, like the introduction of the Come Up supposed to be, and it was kind of like right as I was finishing up Perfect Storm,
Right.
because Perfect Storm dropped in November of 2007, so that was gonna drop like June, or like June, somewhere June to August, I think. We just never put it out.
Heavy catalog. Heavy catalog.
Yeah.
So to follow up to the 58s, so what was that? What was that time like? What were you working on at that time? Was it more come up? Was it more come up projects?
Yeah, it was like all Come Up at that point, because we
Okay.
had went on tour later that year, the first tour we ever went on with Mac, because we had did some shows, opened up some shows as with the 58s for Mac
Okay.
earlier in that year of 2011, and then when we put out our shit with Germ, um, we ended up going on tour with Mac
Mac
for,
and
for the
Jerm
Blue
working
Slide,
heavy at that time together.
for the Blue Slide.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so you went on tour, which is crazy. I definitely want to touch on that. I'm about to go on tour myself.
Yeah. Oh
Here
yeah, yeah.
soon.
Congratulations again, bro.
So I definitely want some insight about like what that's like. I know
Yeah,
it's probably not what you think it is.
yeah. I mean,
Is what I'm thinking. Is what I'm thinking it is. Um, what was your first tour like? Especially being with an artist like Mac Miller, who's like top of the world at this time.
yeah. Oh, that was Blue Slide, so like he was kind of just bubbling, like,
Right, right.
you know. But yeah, it was crazy, bro. Like, great experience. I like to look at it like that shit made a man out of me, bro. Like, to be connecting that way, um, eluding that energy, watching other people, because we had Mac as the headliner on that tour, obviously, and Casey Veggies
Yeah,
was
super
like in the
dope artist
middle.
from the
You
West
know what I'm
Coast. Yeah,
saying? And
yeah.
he was like 18 at the time. I think he might even been in high school. Or like, you know what I'm saying? Just watching him like get busy, and for real, these is like his first big line of shows too. So
Right.
like everybody was, like I said, off that energy. Everybody was kind of feeding off the energy, no matter where you was on that card. You know what I'm saying? So it was a crazy experience, bro.
Do you think that's what you know? What I mean, and I see you at shows, and you have a great um, live set. Do you think that's part of what made you such a polished live artist? Is having so many shows,
Yeah, hell yeah.
seeing these different artists perform, you yourself getting to touch the stage every because they say once you do something for what 10,000 hours, you become an expert at it, right?
Yeah.
So you're putting in your time even before you get on tour. You're already putting in time on the local scene, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then now you're doing like constant dates and
Yeah.
different. Now you're trying different things out and seeing what works.
And shit is lit. The room is packed, so it's like, you know what I
You
mean?
got to show up,
Yeah. And I mean, you're gonna feed off of that energy.
right?
You
Right.
know
And
what I mean?
do you think that's what made that's what came into perfecting
Yeah.
your live performance now to this day? Do you still implement things that you learned then
Hell yeah.
today?
Yeah, bro. Years of repetition, bro. Like you said,
Yeah.
it'll sharpen you. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't know, like I said, I always took a liking to like performing, which is so funny. Like, I used to fail class presentations because I ain't want to get up
In
and do
front of
shit in
people.
front of class. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
And my mom said that shit to me one time because she came to one of the shows. Was like, let me ask you a question. You just performed in front of all these people, and you used to fail class to get up there in front of the presentation. I was like,
Right.
it's a different type of situation, my dukes.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So like it's out of body, right? When you get on that stage, like
Yeah,
it's like a spiritual experience. It's like a high like no other once you're done.
yeah, bro.
Like
Lock in.
it's a lot different than like you say presenting in front of a class. Like it's just a whole, and plus it's your art. You're getting to share your art with people.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting to share something that you love and to see them enjoy because that's why we do it. Like good cooks,
Yeah,
you know, what I mean, they cook for other people. They're not cooking for themselves.
yeah,
They want to see the joy in other people's face when they You know what I mean? It's the same thing when we're cooking. You know what I mean? It's the same thing when you're cooking.
And the irony of it is like it's much scarier than doing it in front of a class because like in the class it's like you're young, you don't want to be embarrassed. And I'm from Woody High. They joke they rip way too much. Somebody laugh and I can't even do it. You know what I'm saying? And but other than that, like you telling a story or you're doing a presentation, everybody's gonna do it, so it's not that crazy.
Right.
You up here where they could boo you,
with no consequence.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
So it's a brave thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. And so you mentioned Woody High and being from that area, which Woody High has a rich, for those who don't know, has a rich football history.
Yep.
And you talked about stopping sports, and you and I often talk about that because we both play sports, and it's crazy the duality between sports and entertainment, sports and hip hop. And I related to what you said about having an identity outside of sports because it's kind of like, damn, I've been this for so long. Now what am I? You know what I mean? And hip hop was kind of like that for me. And not to say that it was that because I always been in hip hop.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it's been the same, but it's like a new identity, something to identify with. But I mean, Woody High football, we definitely got to touch on that because that's something that you and I both love is high school football.
Yep.
Southwest PA has some of the best high school football, and some of the best athletes in the NFL come out of Southwest PA, Woodland Hills in particular. When we say Woody High, we mean Woodland Hills. You know what I mean? And that's located, where is that? Turtle Creek, I guess, is.
High school is like Churchill.
They stadium is in Turtle Creek.
Yeah, stadium is in Turtle Creek.
So tell us about that. So you probably have the history on. So it was 3 different schools that combined, right? Or 3 different districts that combined to start Woodland Hills?
It might even been more than that because there's like 8 boroughs in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 8 boroughs that make up
in the Woodland Hills School District. Okay. And we're talking about Woodland Hills football. Some of the players that are produced is Jason Taylor, the Hall of Fame linebacker, Steve Breston, of course.
Shantae
Spencer,
Miles Sanders,
Booby Miles Sanders. Yeah, now playing for Carolina. How you feel about that? How you feel about Miles Sanders being in Carolina now?
He back in Woody High colors. Let's get busy. Let's get money.
Indeed. You know what I mean? And then not to mention a whole list of collegiate players as well. Devin Lyons, shout out to Devin and West Lyons.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just so much
that's a
talent.
list. That's a list. I don't want to
exclude anybody because there's so many.
It's a long list. Like,
yeah.
Like, respectfully.
Respectfully, yeah, 100%. And like you said, it's a long list of players that are still active, like Miles Sanders and so forth. So, but
Quentin Jefferson.
Yeah, for sure, Quentin Jefferson. Like you said, it's just such a list. But what was that like? Like, what was it like going to a high school where you're seeing guys come back who are stars? You're seeing guys who are on their way to being superstars, and you're friends with these guys. I'm sure a lot of them, and you're a celebrity in your own right for what you do. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you're building those relationships with those guys and being in different rooms that other people might not, be preview to. What was that like?
I mean, like I said, a lot of those guys, was close just by like relationship, maybe through family, or I live up here, you live down there, or you live down over this way, so it was able to tap in with a lot of people just off of the strength of that. And like you said, just being able to compete.
Did that inspire you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like on the hip hop end, damn, Stevie doing it, I can do that shit. Or or Ryan's doing that shit. Ryan Mundy, shout out Ryan Mundy. Ryan's doing that. I can do that shit.
Yeah. I mean,
I can make it out of the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, bro, I look at anybody doing anything positive like as a motivation.
100%. Yeah.
Like, especially like I said, Stevie. He's from the area. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mundy, he's not from the area like originally, but he's a little older than me. But yeah. I mean, I was like on a football level, like I was really inspired by them. That was my initial, like, inspiration,
right?
Being around them dudes, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. So football, you know what I mean? You're still a big football fan to this day.
Absolutely.
For some reason, you're a San Francisco fan.
He said for some reason.
It's funny. It's your first year messing with. Oh yeah, you said about this. I don't.
No, Big Ben had a good run.
Thank you. Period, bro.
Mess with him because back in the day we would fire people that had allegations like him.
Yeah, I feel you.
Our reputation, and then he comes along, and all of a sudden it's like, do whatever you want.
It's big business too at the end of the day because he's producing at a high level. He's a you know what I mean he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you know what I mean fortunately like
Some good players that were the same kind of stuff.
not like him though. I mean and not saying I excuse the behavior or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Nah,
whatever
shit.
behaviors. I'm not sure exactly what we're referring to, but not saying I excuse anyone. You know what I mean? Being shown some type of preferential treatment, but it's big business for those guys. I mean I understand the mentality. So if it's whoever's producing at the time, like you have guys, Ray Lewis did some crazy stuff.
Caught a body, beat it.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And they still celebrate Ray Lewis to this day because he has that personality. So at the end of the day, it's business. And I'm a Steeler fan, and he was winning us games, Super Bowls. So I love that. But you're a San Francisco fan.
Yep.
What made you turn into a San Francisco fan? Being from the area, it's a rich football history in this area.
I'll go on the record and say this, bro. I got love for the Steelers. I don't ever.
Of
wanna
course,
see the
yeah.
Steelers
You
be
can't not
bad.
have. Yeah, for
But
sure.
I was a 49ers fan because if you look at the history of the 49ers, they always had good receivers.
It's one of the greatest franchises in the
Yeah,
NFL.
they had good receivers.
Yeah.
And I had an uncle, like he's like a cousin. He's a cousin to me, but he's older, so we always looked at him
Yeah.
like an uncle.
For sure.
He was a big 49er fan when I was a kid. So
Okay.
seeing him, like, you know what I'm saying, that was his squad. I thought it was unique, I guess, in my own kid mind at the time that we from Pittsburgh and he rocked with
Yeah.
the San Francisco 49ers. But like I said, to go on top of that, back in the day, I used to play wide receiver. So
You like Jerry Rice,
a lot of wide receivers. That was
Terrell
look at the
Owens.
lineage.
Terrell Owens.
Look at their lineage.
Oh
bro.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Who was your favorite wide receiver?
Like of all time or
All
like
time, yeah. All time.
probably Randy Moss off top.
Oh, okay.
All
He
time.
ain't played for San Fran. No.
He didn't, but he did. No, yes he did.
When?
Yes he did.
When? don't
I had to
remember
think
that.
about that. Like,
Hold on, wait,
yes,
hold on.
he did.
Oh, don't worry, I got
Yeah, you got to
Late,
fact check that.
it was either his last season or the season before he bowed out.
Get out of here, bro. I
Facts.
don't remember that. I
He
know
was
you
on
went
the
to,
squad with Cap,
went to-
with Cap too. With Cap.
for real.
Facts. Look
Get
it up.
out of here. What, the Super Bowl? Not the Super Bowl. You're definitely with him.
The 49ers for 2012 season.
Wow, 2012 season. He was right. All right, but damn. So he was team hopping because I remember the Raiders run,
Yeah.
the Patriots
He
run.
hated it out the Raiders. I remember that.
Yeah,
He was causing it, right?
yeah. Then he went to the Patriots. Damn, I don't remember San Fran.
He
though.
was at the Titans too. You remember that?
Nah.
Yeah, he was at
Damn.
the Titans too.
Yeah, I did say that.
And then he came back to the Vikings too.
I remember that. I remember he came back to the Vikings for like the last little joint. Damn,
Yeah,
that's
he
crazy.
wasn't really that nice at the Vikings.
No, that was the end of his career. He was on
Yeah.
the tail end of it.
Not saying he wasn't nice, but yeah,
He was Randy Moss, not nice, is better than half the
yeah.
receivers in the league for sure. All right. So San Francisco, one of the greatest franchises.
Yep.
How do you feel about this upcoming season? What do you think they should? How do you think they should address the quarterback situation?
I don't know.
Do
That's
you rock out with Brock Purdy?
I mean, I'm still
Do
a
you
big
let Trey-
supporter
do
of
you let
Trey
Trey
Lance. I do, bro.
Yeah.
And
If he's healthy, you let him rock out. Do you let him
Yeah.
compete in the off season, like just see what happens?
yeah, absolutely, bro. They got to compete. Like,
Yeah.
we only got to see 2 games of Trey Lance, bro.
Right.
That's not enough time. You know what I'm saying? Like to even give somebody a real chance, especially when you're losing Jimmy G, which I don't even think Jimmy G is like a top tier quarterback at this point.
He's a game
He's a game manager. Yeah,
He's a
you know what
game
I'm saying. So it's like somebody got to get somebody got to get a shot.
Because Steelers need to step it up next season.
Facts, they do.
Ain't no doubt. We need to.
Facts, they do. Draft is going to be huge.
For the Steelers, I feel like, so speaking from a Steelers perspective, I feel like we have our quarterback now.
We need a good safety.
We have our quarterback. I think Kenny, I was skeptical. And I want to go on record as saying I wasn't like a big Kenny Pickett fan
I wasn't. He
at
had
first.
he had nice little glimpse. You know what I'm saying? Of potential, but like I agree.
Now, like seeing him play a season, he's in that right trajectory. Like you want to see your quarterback going in.
But you see what I mean? Like
Like you said,
he
he
had a
showed you a
whole,
glimpse.
he had a whole, and he had a longer shot than somebody like Trey Lance, where like you
Right,
said,
right.
and he's still gonna have room for improvement. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? Where it's like you gotta let somebody go through the trial and error.
100%. And I feel like we got our quarterback, and I feel like of course, we got our running back. I feel like all our specialty positions are in place.
GP14, I like him.
Oh man, Pickens is crazy. Pickett to Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
Get used to that. It's going to be a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just feel like, and we made a lot of good moves this offseason by getting rid of Devin Bush. I kind of like Miles Jack. I ain't understand that one.
Yeah, I was a little hot about that.
I ain't get that one.
They got rid of Edmonds. I was cool with that.
Yeah, I was cool.
He had to go.
Yeah, but I definitely didn't understand the Miles Jack thing because he played solid, bro. But like you said in the draft, I mean, hopefully we get Joey Porter Jr. I'd love to see him come back home.
Mm-hmm.
We need another cornerback anyway, so I'd definitely love to see us address that.
Yeah, and they need a nice corner. Like
we got him, Minka. Minka's that for sure. We got Minka. He's a game changer.
They added veteran
Patrick Peterson. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to give us another Joe Hayden type performance for a couple
be like
years.
some veteran status.
So I think we're definitely going to step it up next year. But San Francisco, I will say this, man. I don't think it matters who's the quarterback in San Francisco.
Yeah, bro, they got so many options, so many weapons.
It's and that's what I learned this year in football. It's about those weapons around. If you don't have an elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, you know what I mean, prime Tom Brady,
excuse me,
you know what I mean, those type of guys, even Ben,
it's gonna be tough.
It's going unless you have weapons.
Yeah,
because those unless you have those weapons. Or unless you have that elite quarterback, because an elite quarterback will turn anybody into something. We seen Tom Brady do it with a whole bunch of 5'10", 5'9" dudes, turn them into superstars, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We seen Aaron Rodgers do it with multiple wide receivers. Like when they left them, they ain't look nothing like they did with Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes did it this season. He didn't have no real.
I mean, if you look at like Brock Purdy's numbers, bro, once he stepped in, his numbers weren't even
gaudy.
They weren't even like
right,
nothing significant.
Right.
But it's like
he's got
when you got Debo coming out from in the backfield
anywhere he wants. Yeah.
You got Christian McCaffrey. He's an ox.
Yeah, for sure.
You got Juszczyk, the fullback. He get busy.
Yep.
They be having Kittle go around doing end arounds and
Kittle's
like
nasty tight end.
Ayuk at the split end, man. They got so many options.
So many weapons, right? And that's what I learned about football. Even watching Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, like him last year with no weapons, him this year with a plethora of weapons, just everywhere he turned.
Yeah, it should.
It looked completely different. And I think, you know who I think is going to have that turn this year, who's going to look like Jalen Hurts this year is Justin Fields. Because they gave that boy weapons.
They gave him some weapons. Yeah.
They gave that boy weapons this year. He's gonna look very different than last year.
And toward the end of this last season, he was doing some crazy shit.
That's what I'm saying.
He was getting like 70-yard scampers and shit. Like, you know what I mean? But like you said, he didn't really have any weapons.
He didn't have no weapons. He had Chase Claypool. That was his number one receiver, and we gave him away. We didn't give him away. We got a lovely second round pick for I don't know what they were thinking, what they thought they was about to get.
Claypool was hit or miss though, in my opinion.
It was more miss than hit though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
You know who's starting to feel that way? Deontay Johnson is starting to feel like. I feel like we need to trade him and get some cap space for bro.
I don't know, man. He just got to work on like his hands. He got like crispy routes.
Listen to what you just said. A wide receiver needs to work on his hands.
I'm keeping it funky.
That's what I'm saying. You don't want that wide receiver though. You want the one that already got it coming in.
He needs to worry about some like eye to eye. Like I don't know.
It's too late, bro.
Something to get it together, bro.
No, get rid of him, man, and let's get some cap space and get somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what they could get for him.
A draft pick. Just free him up for cap space. Get a second, third round draft pick. Move up in the draft. Get you somebody young. To spend the money on Robbie Anderson's out there. He'll give you the same quality production.
Mm-hmm.
George Pickens is our guy moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Then just build around those young boys. Build around that. Freiermuth's already nasty.
Yeah, he's a dog.
He's one of those tight ends we're talking about, like Kittles. Like
he's a dog.
So just build around that and give Pickett some weapons. We were just talking about the value of having those weapons around. Jalen Warren's super highly underrated too. He's nasty.
Oh yeah. He's a downhill runner.
It's crazy. But yeah, so you saying Trey Lance is your guy going forward?
I think they're gonna have to battle it out, bro. To be honest, I still believe in Trey Lance, but if Brock Purdy is the stronger option, let's get
rock
these
with him.
W's,
Rock with
man.
the best man. All right, so we talked about how important we talked about Woody High football, which I definitely wanted to touch on, and in that we're talking about the pride that you have in Braddock. So talk about some of these collab projects that you're dropping and some of these artists that you're featuring on here and how that came about.
Braddock on Broadway
Yes, sir.
compilation.
Braddock on Broadway.
It was just something, bro. Like I had like as a vision, like to be honest, like us being people of poverty, like how can we display ourselves in a positive way? You know what I mean? No matter where we from, because people don't know. You know, Braddock catch a little weird vibe or weird flack to it. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, I got a lot of reach outside of Braddock. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even lived in Braddock personally since I was a kid, but you know, I'm from there.
That's your home.
That's
Yeah.
my whole family.
Yeah.
That's my soil. You know what I'm saying? So when I stepped in and started doing music full time, like I always looked at the bravado of like, you know, never forgetting where you came from. And,
Right.
you know, if you care about that, you know, always make sure you give back, even if it's in the smallest or most little way you can. You know what I'm saying? So with that, like I know a lot of dudes who getting busy on the music thing. Some dudes it's taking it 100% serious. Some dude is 1 feet in, 1 feet out.
Right.
But if I got, you know, people viewing my shit every time I drop, if I got people coming out to the shows every time I do something, you know what I'm saying? And I see boys all the time, oh, we need to do something, we need to do. So I look at that as like a way we can all eat. Like it's a plate, you know what I mean? It's an opportunity where like even if Boys in the Hood did a compilation and they set it up, I would want to be a part of it just to, you know,
Right.
have a stamp on what we do, you know what I'm saying, and get people familiar with us, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's dope, bro. And given all of the things that you came from and all of the things that you've seen and all of the opportunities that you've been blessed with throughout your life, to see you still being humble enough to understand, like, I wish somebody would have did this for me
Yeah, I mean,
from where I was from.
and I don't even hold no punches with it, you know, like you said, like I said, like I told you earlier, like I just kind of don't think about certain stuff, bro. Like I just if I do something, it's like in the rear view to me once it's done. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm
You're
saying?
not
Like,
holding receipts.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So I never really even think about it like that too much. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes too much energy to look at it like, oh, I did this for you, so you owe me this or
Right.
da da da. It's not. That's not
It's not
even
even that type of
what
party.
it was to me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And I see that at the shows. They show you a lot of love, and even the artists that are coming up that I might not be familiar with, and I see them at your shows or hear Braddock on Brown. I'm like, oh damn, who's this? And
Hmm.
that does cause me to tune in and seeing that. And is that like one of the things that is that like some of your intent behind it is you want to get them that exposure that they might not have had otherwise?
Yeah, and just like you know, if I support what you're doing, and that's why I say like Red Up on Broadway is something just like throwing people's face. And you know, I'm from Braddock,
Right.
but like the on Broadway shit means like anybody doing anything positive. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes,
it
sir.
could be Connellsville on Broadway, Uniontown on Broadway,
Right.
but it's like you doing some positive shit, and you know what I'm saying? Like politician, music, cooking, whatever it is.
Right.
I just want to
You
support
want to
good. I
highlight
want to
that. You want
support
to show.
good shit. So if I'm throwing a show,
Yeah.
I don't need the spotlight to be solely on me.
Mm.
If I have a show and I know you sell ice cream cups and it's in the summertime,
Right. Yeah.
come through, sell your ice cream cups. If I know you sell merchandise, you sell t-shirts and hats, come through and sell your t-shirts and your hats.
Everybody can eat.
If you rap, come I'm gonna have a set, come have a set with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
where my mindset is with it.
And that's hard, and that's dope, and that's what it's about, like using your platform to help other people, and you did that for me today. You're my first guest.
Oh
You
man,
know what I
it's
mean?
all love,
You
bro.
came through and showed love, and you didn't have to. You know what I mean? And that shows in your character. And the funny thing about it is, people who are like that, people who aren't stingy with the love, it always comes back to them. And
I agree
people
wholeheartedly, bro.
and people who are like real hold on to it and try to make it like that's why they're miserable and the way that they are. Like you can see the difference, and you know what I mean. Like real ones understand that. Like
It
you know
took
what I
me
mean.
years to let that sink in though, because when you're young and shit and things is happening, like you can feel different. You can feel envious to like
Yeah,
people with that type of energy. So I
yeah.
had to let that fly out of my mental.
That's strong that you admit to that you felt envious, right? Because that takes a lot of vulnerability to say that you. But I think that's important that you say that and you recognize it but you turned that envy into motivation as opposed to just leaving it as envy. Like a lot of people let that just be envy and
Bro,
hold on to that.
because people don't owe you shit at the end of the day,
Right.
and it takes way too much energy for me to keep having animosity towards you when it's like I could just X you out of my situation or
And not even deal with you.
and not I don't got no bad blood or nothing. I just
Ain't dealing with you.
yeah, I'm good, bro.
Exactly.
I'm
I'm the
good.
same type of
I'm
person.
good.
I get that 100%. But yeah, no, it definitely shows. And I see your shows, and I'm always, and every time I come to your show, like your shows are always packed, bro. Like you always got people in there. And not everybody can do that. You know what I mean? Not everybody can do that and get that love. And a lot of the reason of that is for the reasons that you're saying. I recognize that now through this conversation is because you're showing that love and you're putting it out there, you're getting it right back.
Hmm.
And people love to love you because they're like, damn, he every time I seen him, he left me with this feeling.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I can't wait to reciprocate and give it right back to him.
Nah, I appreciate that, bro, because I really do hope the example I said or anything I do in that type of light is received, in a good way. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? 'Cause like I said, it's really all love, bro.
But that
If I rock
turning
with
that
you, I rock with you.
turning that envy into something stronger is crazy. Like turn that envy into inspiration. Like, damn, that motivates me now. Like, damn, I see you doing that and I want to be there, but I'm not gonna hate on you. I'm gonna meet you up top, bro.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
You
The game plan right there.
know what I mean? I'm gonna meet you up top. And I always see it's the funny thing is you see like when people drop these lists of like top rappers in a burg or stuff
Mhm.
like that, and you see some people be hot, like,
Well, I said that's a good segue.
bro,
I
some
used to
people
be envious at little shit like that.
some people be mad, like really, and they'll
I was one of them mad people.
yo, who's I never even heard of, bro. If I see stuff like that, I'm like, all right, I ain't doing enough. Apparently, if they ain't got me on there,
Man, that shit don't even mean nothing, matter, nothing.
I just like I gotta work harder. That's the only thought I give it. Then it's done, bro.
Nah, I feel you though.
We're gonna turn that into motivation,
Yeah, no,
like you
absolutely,
said,
absolutely.
because the initial thought is like, yeah, let me be angry, but for what?
Yeah,
And it's just one man's opinion. And at the end of the day, all of us can make a list. It doesn't really
no, absolutely.
it doesn't
bro.
really mean anything. It's your opinion, and you're entitled to that. And if I'm not on your radar, then let me do more to get on your radar.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that just means I need to work harder because I'm not there.
Yeah, bro.
And always people say like, oh, how's music going? I'm sure you get that like, oh, how the music thing going?
Mhm.
And my reply is always, well, if it was going well enough, you wouldn't have to ask me that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Like if it
Mhm.
was going well, it's obviously not going. You know what I mean? And I don't mean it to be a smart ass, but I'm just saying like I understand I need to step my game up.
Yeah.
And if you have to ask me that, obviously I'm not doing it because no one has to. And I kind of seen that from the Jay-Z joint when he was sitting with the. I don't know if you ever seen that clip. He was sitting with the older lady on the subway, and he's got the cameras. He's on his way to Madison Square Garden for the blackout
Mhm.
concert. And the older lady's like, "Oh, are you someone? Are you someone famous?"
That's on Fade to Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
well, ma'am, I'm not famous enough. You don't know who. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
know who I'm not that. And I was like, damn, that's Jigga just like that's real.
Yeah,
And that's what put me. I'm like, damn, yeah, I'm not doing it big enough if you don't know. Like,
yeah.
obviously you would know. Like if Denzel walk in the room, ain't nobody gotta say, oh, why is everybody around Like, or not even Denzel, why is everybody around that guy?
Yeah,
You're gonna know, like, damn, that's Denzel, bro.
yeah.
You feel me?
Nah,
So-
absolutely.
No, that's important to turn negatives into positives and your longevity and the love that and that's one thing that I definitely want to get across is this is a tough game.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And there's no real marker for success. And that's definitely one thing I want all artists to understand. Like, no matter how successful you are or how successful you think someone else is, especially in this music stuff, we all have those days where we're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. If I don't know if it's worth it.
Oh yeah, you lose motivation. Writer's block will like smack you, just like damn near KO you, like all types of ups and downs, twists and turns, bro. Like it's definitely frustrating, bro. And a lot of people like use it for their own gain, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Where do you find the motivation to keep going? Aside from your obviously you have a passion for it and a love for it, but aside from that, where do you find the motivation to keep going?
Man, bro, just honestly, just everyday life. You know what I mean? As cliche as that may sound, but like,
Yeah, no,
there's always shit that's happening and it's affecting us every day. You know
For
what
sure.
I'm saying? And ultimately, I mean, not ultimately, but as well, like I'm a music head, bro. Like, you hear shit and
it might put you in that zone.
yeah, bro.
It might put you in, and remind you why you love this so much and remind you.
Yeah,
I think
I've been around it so long now; it's just embedded in me. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
What else could you be other than who you are?
I mean, and it's in me. I don't. I mean,
yeah, that's what I mean. Who else can you be but who you are? That's who you are.
yeah. My dad. My dad is in a jazz band.
Yeah, yep.
You
No,
know?
I didn't know that, but my dad was a singer. I get that. Like, it seems like most people who are into music come from a line of people who were into music.
Yeah, my background with music, like from his side to my mom's side, is pretty crazy, bro.
Yeah,
So it's like it was like I said, it's something at this point, like
and
I don't know.
that was a lyric you said in your song. You said you was feeling like giving up, and your dad told you to keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
What song? What song is that? I was just listening to your catalog.
That was on I think that was
Corner of the Market.
no, on Sales Final. That was the
On
last
Sales
track
Final.
for a reason.
Yeah.
For a reason. Yeah.
Was that a real life situation?
Yeah, like he spoke on that record.
Yeah, yep. Yep.
Right before it, like it's like it brings it in. But yeah, like
that was a real message from him that he okay.
Yeah,
But tell the people, tell us about what we're talking about. Like
just my father just he had sent me a message just saying he was thinking about me and he was thinking about the music. It was a short message, short but sweet, just like don't ever give up music, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't remember word for word, but it was something that was from the heart.
Right.
And like I said, he's we don't have the most in-depth relationship, and I'm not downing him just with anything, like, you know what I'm saying? But he believes in me and always has believed in me in that aspect of music, you know what I'm saying?
And that's dope that he gave you that inspiration. It was probably at a time where you really needed it too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of different things happening in like that creation of All Sales Final, like personal shit, like
right.
shit with the music. You know what I'm saying? I started recording that album and things were there where they were, and at the end of that final, Mac had passed. You know what I'm saying? Like or like towards the end of it. So it was an album that I kind of went through like different emotions. To be honest, that's my favorite album that I made.
Right, you said, and
All Sales Final.
All Sales Final, and that was just like a coming of age thing, and that's why everything happened to you. Explain your relationship with Mac, if you don't mind, because you touched on that, saying he passed away. Who was he to you?
Oh man, like a true brother, bro. Like I don't want to sound too cliche or spend too much time on this, but
right,
like,
no,
just a genuine dude all around. Like if you ever met him or been around him, no matter what type of atmosphere or environment was,
it was a lot of love.
It was a lot, all love, bro. Like I can't thank dude enough, and not even just for touring or anything or any opportunity swung my way, but like just being genuinely him. You know what I'm saying?
And so you're making that album, you're going through these things, you're feeling like to get that message at that time. Were you already making an album, or was this before you started the project?
Wait, what was that?
The
again?
message from your pops, was this when you were making an album, or were you already?
Oh yeah, I was like making an album at that point because,
Yeah.
like I said, we don't conversate all the time or like on some everyday shit. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like at this point I'm a grown man. I got my own life and kids and shit. So chime in every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I had told him like I was like I'm finished something. Like one day, call me and leave me a little something.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? And he got busy.
What's going on, bro?
Shout out to the people.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for
I
tuning in.
didn't know that was even clicking off like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, checking out my man Fran.
Subscribe.
100%. 100%. But yeah, I definitely want to get into some music for the people since we got the viewers and all of that.
Yes,
we definitely want to let them hear you if they're not familiar with you. I pulled up your catalog for you, so feel free to play. I know Ghetto Luxury was the last project. Did you have something that you want to play for that or something else?
All right, man. Whatever you got in the queued up, man.
This is all you. Something off Ghetto Luxury?
Yeah, that's cool.
What you feeling? What's your?
You could give me shit. You can give me Vogue.
Okay. All right. So this is Franchise's latest project, Ghetto Luxury. It's streaming everywhere on all platforms. Make sure to follow Franchise as well. Go ahead, give them your socials if you would.
At Babyface Don D on Instagram, at Franchise15104 on Twitter, and babyfacefranchise.com for all other info.
For sure. And we're gonna go ahead and get into this track
Catalogs
Vogue.
and all.
Ghetto Luxury.
Shout out to VO2K.
This shit go back before the press. Mesquite jeans, Jacob Watch Mitchell and Ness. Mambo cologne on my wrist and on my chest. Had Woody high, women sending texts, getting undressed. Say I'm capping, you a lame nigga. I came in with no hat, you peep the waves, nigga. I've been finding peace, but I'm the same nigga. Team murder with the shit, ain't nothing changed with a truth. MVP status, yeah, that's the motto. Morals, values, principles, and that's the rules we follow. Remain calm, ain't no telling what we might do tomorrow. COVID had us losing vision, I could use the sorrow. I pray that life get better for the youth. Let's set the best example just to get them through. Shit hit different when you battle with the truth. I roll my problems up and smoke them in the booth, I might Vogue for the camera, check the fit. It's that drip, get a look, get a grip. Paparazzi fuego with the flick, shit is lit. Every time we pop out, it go down like this. Said I might Vogue for the camera, let it hit. Take a pic, look at me, get a good look. Your baby mama all up in my DMs with the shits. Let me quit.
Way back then they knew that I was on one. Whipping up a place that I ain't doing nothing. Get them bitches like up by the case. Video emo section, we all in your place. I'm causing forward, pressure, take a flight. I ain't worried about them niggas, I know we the shit. Diamonds born in Houston, I got astros on my wrist. I go kamikaze, I just blew up all they piss. Okay, what we doing? Frank just bought some bitches with him, we gon' keep on going. Like I brought the switches with me, oh yeah, we on it. Coolest nigga going, you might think it's snowing.
I might Vogue for the camera, check the fit. It's that dream, get a look, get a grip. Paparazzi fuego with the flick, shit is lit. Every time we pop out, it go down like this. Said I might Vogue for the camera, let it hit. Take a pic, look at me, get a good look. Your baby mama all up in my DMs with the shits. Let me quit.
Ghetto Luxury.
Yes, sir. Available now, all platforms.
So what was the I listened to the project. So if you were to categorize your sound, it would be Ghetto Luxury.
Yeah, yep.
That's the intro to the project for those who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So was that the inspiration to the project?
Yeah, absolutely. I had actually been throwing that Ghetto Luxury term around for a couple of years for real.
Okay.
And just me, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if it's like some astrology, Sagittarius shit, but I talk to myself a lot. So like a lot of that should be already in my head or premeditated. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I was thinking like, I don't know if I had a dream or if like just me being in my head when people like, you know, or even like I've done interviews and people be like, oh, ask like, what would you say your sound is? And I had to think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds like, and it's like not, it ain't like no trap shit. It ain't no drill. Right. It ain't street. It ain't necessarily the most street shit.
Right.
But it's from that cloth. But it ain't the most commercial or the most pop. But it sounds up to date, up to par. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like almost like I looked at it like the Ghetto Luxury sound, and that's why the intro sounds the way it do. Like almost like a Maybach music sound. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that classic Rick Ross sound. Like
it has
some
that
shit that sounds like. If you ever seen How High You Gonna Die when I say this, like some shit that sounds charmingly ghetto.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Some shit that sounds like beautifully black, or like, you know, some shit everybody gonna be able to get
Black excellence type shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, hell yeah. And that's that's, you know what I mean, that's unique, and that's a perfect way to describe, you know what I mean, your sound and your style. You always been smooth. You know what I mean? Like you said, you have the lyricism, and you, like you said, it's not no trap, but it has the street element to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? To me, you know what I mean, it's funny you made the song Rockefeller Chain, and to me, that's what you're kind of like the Birds, Jay-Z to me. Um, you know what I mean, just with delivery.
That's major, bro. Appreciate you. That's
you know what I
crazy.
mean? You know what I mean? The sound, everything like sounds very similar. And that's one of my favorite songs, Rockefeller Chain. I'm gonna go ahead and play that now for you. Rockefeller Chain is on All Sales Final, which is streaming everywhere.
Everywhere.
Definitely take shout out Palermo Stone. He's tuned in. He said factual. Um,
My guys are love you, bro.
but I'm gonna go ahead and play this Rockefeller Chain off of your All Sales Final project. The video is also up as well. Dope ass video. Thank you.
CH the Great, you're a musical genius.
Shout out to my brother Beyond Dreams.
We're gonna let that build, let that breathe for a second. Give them that feeling. Woo! Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, you are now in tune with the livest, most polished rap show on the road. Keep in mind, all sales are final. Sit back, sip your drinks, light your high times weed, and enjoy your purchase. Yo, every time I see a diamond, I think of Biggs, then I think of Dame. I think of Jigga with the big chain. I think of Killer and the Pain Range. Then I think of all the shit we did to get a name. Mama, I'm sorry, the school said I was truant. Puberty hit me different, I was grooving and maneuvering. Tipsy off the mold, abusing music like we're using. Felt like there wasn't a book that could improve what I was doing. Big homie spent days trying to prepare us. Showed us how to turn a Ford Taurus to a Carrera. The squad went broke, we used mechanics to repair us. Nigga, my era was terror. Garvey and Che Guevara built a revolution. Some of us passed, some of us followed. Life was rough, the streets was tough, and the tunnels was hollow. I was reckless as a teen, screaming fuck tomorrow. Fighting just like Tyson through my struggles with no custom model. So this for the hard knocks and my day ones. Who knew just who I was and what I came from. I think of Germ every time I blaze one. He saw potential from the jump and then get paid once. Shout out to the Bowdies, all my ex-divas who thought this was a fluke and tried to step between us. Then shout out to all the goats that I made believe us. From the Johnny Giulianos to Ime Alacuevas. I'm holding you niggas accountable for not holding these new niggas accountable. Every chance I get, I'ma apply pressure. Catch up, niggas.
That cover code too of the All Sales Final.
Oh, appreciate it, bro.
Hell yeah, but that was Rockefeller Chain. That video's out right now as well.
Yes, sir.
All Sales Final. That album's out. Make sure you stream that. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up, man. It's been beautiful having you here.
Bro, it's been beautiful attending, being here with you, man.
I'm sure. I hope you had a good time, man. This is our debut.
Man. All love, bro.
You gave us a lot of insight, taking us on your journey, walking us through the steps, and I hope it was motivational too, man, because this man is accomplished and he's doing things and he's continuing to do things and he's letting you know that it's real. He's holding down this area. He's showing everybody. And like you said, it's not just about music, but if you sell ice cream, you know what I mean? Go ahead and do your thing and do it because that's your passion. If you cook, go ahead and do that because that's your passion. You know what I mean? And this brother's doing that at a very high level. So it's a lot to be taken from that. And I hope we introduce some people to franchise and you know what I mean, we'll continue to build from that. But I thank you so much, brother, for coming.
Thank you for having me, bro.
It means more than you know.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Absolutely. You have anything that you want to promo, shout out, you know, give them your social media one more time for people that might just be tuning in.
Follow me on Instagram at babyfaceDawnD. And you can find all information, bio, pictures, upcoming shows, events, merchandise on babyfacefranchise.com. Babyfacefranchise.com.
Absolutely. I'm Marley. This is Franchise, BunchaBull Studio. Thanks for having us. We're out of here.